Hello, folks. This is Microwaved One of S.E.E. News. Today on our interviewing, we have Mr. SupercellGmtv of the Caribbean Empire. Supercell, introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hello, CCNeters. I'm Super, one of the main directors of the Caribbean.
All right, well, Super, let's get straight into this. How did you start playing CCNet? Who got you involved? What nation did you start with? All of that sort of stuff.
Alright, so I started on the west coast of America, a town called Eureka. I was originally a Nightmare Sword recruit. I came with my group, which my group is now banned. Our first nation was British Columbia, ran by Uzaim and Nightmare Sword back at the time. Then they merged with I don't know what nation and they made Aztec Syndicate, which continued. I was still there till it fell, basically.
hmm
So yeah.
Once Aztec Syndicate fell, where did you go then?
After Aztec fell, I merged with the Caribbean or the cultist empire at the time because it was a one-man nation at the time, Aztec Syndicate, and I just couldn't handle like owning all of South and North America.
hmm
And then I went to cultist, where I started as a cultist enemy from a cultist enemy actually.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the Aztec Syndicate also not did the Aztec Syndicate merge into what was then the Eternal Empire?
No, firstly, Aztec merged into cultist.
Oh, I see.
The deal with the Mayans fell off. We had plans for that, but then Matt did his job, fucked it up. That's how it ended.
I see. Was there ever sort of an idea of going into ETM instead of cultist?
There was an idea. We were planning to unite ETM, Aztec, and Lusitanos together, but I made the peace with ETM, but then it failed.
I see.
And then when Cultist Day came back, Lusitanos merged as well, I'd merged as well, and ETM got sent to Greenland.
I see. Now, when you joined Cultist, was there sort of an aura against you? Was there any discrimination of any sort? Did people
Yes,
welcome you? Is the real question.
I was welcomed, but I felt off because I was treated differently.
hmm
It was because I was an alpha darky guy and people treated me like an op.
Yeah,
So I understood that, but of course, yeah, I needed time.
yeah. Were you ever accused of being a spy or being on the other
I was
side?
actually. Gould himself thought I was a spy until Torta calmed the shit down.
hmm
Because I was too interested in the First Order fort. Like, I went
Oh,
crazy about it. And then everyone thought that I'm spying and all that. And then I had to shut it off because I helped building Cultist Order.
I see. Uh, from that, how long did it take you to rise the ranks of CE? Because, like, from what I'm hearing, you started at probably at the very bottom of like distrust, and now you're close to the top leadership spot.
I mean, it took me like 6 to 7 months to become a high rank,
hmm So
which most of the
almost,
people got high rank in 1 month, 2 months, and I got the longest serving.
I see. So it really took you just a lot of time. Was there
Yeah,
anything specific that you had to do to achieve that point?
yeah, I got promoted to a cultist emissary at the time, and it was like the emissary role was only to do diplomacy on the nations in North America,
hmm
which I was doing, and
Yeah,
then school left, and then I got promoted.
I see. Was there ever a period of time where you thought, oh, maybe this won't work out? Or were you always steadfast confident that you would keep rising the rank of
No, thing
Caribbean?
with me is when I join a nation, I never leave it till it's gone.
I
I
see.
always do this in other servers here as well. Like I took Aztec to death with me. I joined cultist. Now I will die with cultist.
Under whatever name change, you'll die with it.
Yep, Caribbean.
Speaking of name changes, you were an active proponent of the nation being called Old Spice. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. That was the lowest time of the Caribbean now, cultist. The lowest time, basically the dark ages, because we were like close to collapsing.
Hmm.
But thankfully, MV Pan got a hold of it with the director's help, and we got back. That's how it is.
When when Skuld and Extinction would leave and you'd kind of almost be decapitated in a sense, was there ever an aura of almost hopelessness in the country? Did you feel that something was that the bowl was just gonna tip?
Not with me. I was seeing that the other members were like tired and all that, but I
Hmm.
was like kept going, and I tried to motivate them, which I actually did. Some of them. Some of them left, like Spoonie, but Spoonie is now back inside the nation.
Hmm. On that similar note, during that kind of period of, I don't want to say unrest, but period of depression, various towns would join countries like the Ironwood Federation. I think a few probably joined LSR. Now, of course, LSR is gone, but with Ironwood now being a part of alliance with CE, do you feel that there's still any disdain for Ironwood almost quote unquote taking some of our towns?
No, I don't see it that way. I think Ironwood is doing very good. I support them in any way, military and politically, and we're allies. So yeah, we're basically not doing like the stealing part. We don't
Hmm.
care. They
There's
can
just no
have them.
animosity.
Yeah, we're not gonna cause trouble to them for that.
Intriguing. Moving back to, I know this might sound odd, but moving back to names, was there any, this is just a personal question, was there any particular reason Old Spice was promoted so heavily?
It was Envy Pan's nation back in Polis, so I had to
Uh,
understand him. But I thought that Pan would have been better if he listened to the others, to the other nation members, which he did in the end, and I respect that.
mhm. Were there any other names or colors or anything, or flags even, that you thought we should go by after Skuld and
Well,
Extinction had retired?
Skuld named it into Phoenix Kingdom, and I was pro that. I liked that name, but the others didn't so because we wanted to depart from the cultist theme, which I agreed. I
Hmm.
listened to the nation members, and then we changed the whole theme of the nation. We changed the name up. We're basically like cultist before it became cultist. The new
I see.
Caribbean Empire.
Is there still, do you feel that there's still a part of the nation that ever wants to go back to that cultist era? Or, like, are there anyone in the country who says, hey, maybe we should return to this sort of great time instead of evolving further?
I have heard some people say it, but nobody's really serious about it since we built Caribbean at this point now, and we do not want to lose the Caribbean because it's a thing where the other nation members built when cultists left, or when Skuld left.
Hmm. From that point, moving in a little bit more personally, would you call yourself someone who's like very active in Siegecraft and CCNet?
Who's active the most in the nation?
No, you specifically. Would you call yourself active when it comes to sieges and that sort of stuff?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, when it comes to that, and I talked a little bit with Pan about this, are you a proponent of like going overseas to sieges, or do you exclusively stay in the cultist sieges against in the Western
I
Hemisphere?
definitely tend to help the alliance sieges. and we're we like to go overseas, like fight with Romans and other nations. We do not mind the traveling, so
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so
But we prefer
sorry,
the homeland sieges more because it's closer. That's normal for every nation.
definitely. Yeah. Speaking of that sort of esque idea, when it comes to some of these more newer sieges, take the Ironwood siege of the Empire of Brazil, or
Yep.
some of the more newer North American sieges, how would you feel the Cultist Empire and or the Caribbean Empire, sorry, has been involved in that? Like, would you say that we're a very active proponent in these sieges, or would you say we kind of leave it to more of the local nations to figure it out?
I mean, when Ironwood sieged Brasilia, the Caribbeans were there 100% of the support. So with Romans included as well. So I think we won the siege for them. Of course,
Hmm.
Ironwood funded the siege. That's normal for every nation to fund their own sieges because they're now getting the occupation money. And yeah,
Yeah. On a similar note to that, actually, I shouldn't say that anyway. More to lighten the mood. We talked about this at the latter end of the Pan interview. Um, the country of Staff Nation has received a lot of uh backlash for the recent expansion. I know MV Pan is a high proponent of sieging Staff Nation as soon as that immediate timer comes down. Are you also a proponent of anti-Staff Nation politics?
well, I'm going to leak my plans on this one, but yeah, screw it. So basically, you can see Cultist is, or the Caribbean is vassling two nations at the moment, and we plan on doing more. This is just a reason to unite and go on the northern Canada to go for Staff Nation because they're a danger to the CCNet world and they should be calmed down.
Hmm. It's very
Their
interesting
expansion
that
is
you
dangerous.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you highlighted the recent vassalization of Greenland and TAC. On the issue of
Yeah.
TAC, they recently had a vote about a merger. How do you feel about just TAC politics? What's going on over there? How are they
Uh, my
impacted?
opinion is that, of course, there are technical allies. We try to help them, but they're new players. They haven't seen the real side of CCNet, the big sieges, the big regions, the big assault regions in PvP, all of that. I offered them a merge, which I respect that they turned me down. I offered them many help in the western coast of America, and they could go to regions with us without wasting diplomatic points with other nations.
Mhm. Yeah. Would you say that you're kind of the high proponent in negotiating in North America, or is that job delegated to anybody else?
I'm the main guy that does politics with MVPAN internationally and in our home ground. We
Hmm.
got Silent along with us, we got Hamjam, and sometimes Young Prince.
I see. On a similar note to TAC, Greenland. Greenland has historically been an ally of CE. Granted, they've had some topsy-turvy times when it comes to the General of Alliance. Now, of course, they are back again as a vassal to CE. How has the situation with them developed in recent time?
It was very good because I got them back into alliance, which back then they left due to being neutral.
Hmm.
But I'm starting to notice that they want benefit for their nation as well, so they don't go dry,
I
going
see.
dry and quitting. So I think I want them more to be included into the regions. They have potential, like Ironwood, one of the
Hmm.
main nations with the most potential in the server. Same with Ironwood.
Would
And
you
yeah, that was my
Yeah,
main reason.
would you regard some of these countries like Greenland and Ironwood in that sort of developing but not quite there state? Would you regard these places as places of higher interest? Like, would you look at them more than, say, another alliance nation?
I mean, definitely, we want to unite communities always, help each other at max. That's my goal on our home ground nations. We need to help each other the most as we can,
Hmm.
military and resourcefully. Of course, doing business as well.
Yeah. There have been, in recent time, this one's a bit more off. I'm not sure how you respond to this, but in recent time, there have been a few talks of this sort of a Western Hemisphere defense pact, a treaty between Northern and South American nations of just like a total continental unity. Would you
Yes,
be opposed to something like that, or would you be pro something like that?
I would definitely like that because it unites the South and North America. I think everyone supports that. The only matter
Hmm.
of things is just the principles the nations have. That's the only thing that's stopping it.
I see. When you mean the principles the nations have, are you referring to any specific nation?
Yes, of course, every nation has their principles, like even we do. So I'm saying that every nation in the Americas has their principles.
Yeah. On that similar note, Uh, of course, the issue of Floritania, whenever I'm talking to an alliance country, always comes into play. Floritania, probably one of the stronger coalition nations, is one of the only ones in North. Actually, I believe it is the only coalition nation in North America. How do you
Yep.
feel situations and tensions with Floritania have fluctuated in recent time?
Uh, we have the Caribbeans have nothing personal against Floritanians. They haven't camped, scammed, or done anything bad to us. But if it comes to them sieging our allies again, and I am sure that we are not standing like we did last time when we had a treaty and our allies were getting occupied.
Hmm. When it comes to things like that, and I think MV Pan talked about this a little bit. He said that there's kind of a Cold War almost, a competition for some of these
That's,
smaller, more
yep.
developing nations. Would you agree with that stance?
I agree with that as well because Floritania decided to vassal a nation in our home ground in South America. And then we responded with a vassalage of Greenland in their home ground. So this is how it's going right now.
Hmm. Would you say that this is escalating to something like a future siege?
We will never know that because even Fake 4 knows that if he sieges us, he will lose. If we siege him, we will lose. So it's going to be a tiebreaker and a draw.
Hmm. Do you think that this is a positive stance for the Western Hemisphere? Do you think anything can be developed to kind of make that situation better?
I mean, yes, of course we can make it better, but it's just going to need more like, how do I put this? More motivation to do it.
Hmm.
But as of right now, nothing's changing
I
because
see.
Floritania has been peaceful and has been making peace treaties with most of the nations in the Americas.
Yeah. Well, moving on from there, I think we're going to move into our latter half of the interview. So now we're going to be opening, since we have such a large audience, if the audience has any questions for Supercell, even if they have any questions for me, we'd be happy to opening those. Otherwise, I'm going to go straight into my shameless plug-in of the interview. As you may know, I always have a shameless plug-in. Some many of subscribers have heard this shameless plug-in, but today I'm gonna offer a little bit of a different perspective on this. As you may know, there is a photo circulating around of the statue of MV Pan on top of Pan Point and the Libertarian Galaxy Spire in S.E.E. And in the photo, it is quite clear that the S.E.E. tower is mildly taller. So, as my shameless plug-in, I'd like to say please visit the tower. It's very beautiful interior. and it is quite possibly one of the tallest buildings in all of CCNet, let alone South America. So again, shameless plug-in of the day, visit S.E.E. Moving on from there, I've seen that there's a little bit of typing in the interview sections. If, again, any questions, be open for it. But from there, I'm gonna ask you probably one of the closer to the final questions. Um, when it comes to sea zones, I know SE is a very active naval nation, although areas like North Atlantic and South Atlantic have always kind of bounced around between Rome and CE. Is there any sort of distinction between nations when it comes to controlling these areas, or do we both just say alliance and not really give who actually owns it?
Yeah, in every nation, there's going to be people who will disagree with those, but in the end, we're going to have to come with an end decision on that one. Because Rome does and gets the North, South, and America regions for the theater, which, if we help South Atlantic, we will get another region, which is not one of those three, but we might get, example, Scandinavia or Pacific. We never know. We just need to make the deals.
Mhm. Um, from that sort of, oh, here we go. We have a subscriber question. The nation of Gotham, managed by Cell, has recently gotten disbanded. Forgot to ask about this. And the fort of Gotham was bought by Greenland. Are there any thoughts on Gotham in general? How do you feel about? Because I know this nation was formed by what we may call ETM people. How do you feel about just Gotham's failure and their existence?
Their existence was definitely worrying for the Greenland people, but they sort of figured it out with them because Herzl left Gotham before it fell. He left for Liberia,
Hmm.
went to OG Torta. But any plans on them? No, because they are far away and all the way in Greenland. Basically, they're ETM members which got sent back to Greenland.
Yeah. Do you feel
And
that?
the fort that they sold to Greenland, I was against that deal because it was a scam. The reason is the fort's not filled; it's all empty, and they sold it for 140K, which I
Wow.
think it's a scam.
Yeah, especially with a non-filled fort, I could definitely see how one may see that as just a complete scam. That's shocking. From that note, probably a final question of the day. With regards to Gotham, would you say that, and I know it's been a quite long time since ETM, but you talked about this in the beginning. Do you still think that there's any kind of prejudice against newer joins in CE? Like, do you think that, let's say a nation collapses theoretically and they all join up with CE, would you say that there would be a disdain in the community for those people?
I mean, no, we try to welcome everyone in the nation as long as they aren't toxic towards us.
Hmm.
Other than that, everyone is welcomed
I
freely.
see. Well,
You
on
got
that note,
example
oh no, please
as an
continue.
example, you got High Dragon of the LSR. He used to be an op, now he's with us. That's how it is.
I see. Well, on that note, we are closing into minute 24. Is there anything else that you want to say to me or you want to say to the viewers, Supercell?
Yes, unite with us, down with Staff Nation. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Supercell, for doing this interview. It's been great having you on. I'm your commentator, moderator, and interviewer, Microwaved One of the SEE paper. Thank you, and have a good night.